Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you're having an amazing day and a weekend. To, of course, you and your family. So what we're going to do is take a look here at Chiliz, CHZ. Some people might say cheese, but definitely stands for Chiliz. And it's basically just one of those coins that reflects, the soccer industry in a lot of ways too. I mean, it really has a direct tie in there too. So if you haven't done your research on this, obviously do so. That does lead to it to go parabolic in some cases, which it had previously based on fundamental analysis. And what we could possibly be seeing here today so far is one of those as well. Again, I'm not into the fundamentals, I'm more so technical analysis. So I can tell you, if there is something going on, you probably want to research it and find out. This is the best coin to know that, because the fact that if you look at it and compare it to Bitcoin, it doesn't necessarily have the same movements. Okay, it's very similar in a lot of ways, but very, very different. Either way, that being said, we're going to take a look at some previous trends and key level support and resistance levels. We're also going to draw out some Fibonacci retracement lines and kind of help understand really where this might be going here in the near future. How much higher could it go if it were to continue higher, right? So we'll look at that and much more. If you're new to the channel, of course, make sure you join. CryptoCash.tech is a website. Link in the description below. I have a phenomenal community with amazing members, and it's just an awesome opportunity to be able to kind of learn and grow together. So I've got a trading academy, community, and signals. I send out signals for every single trade that I take. Yesterday we took 83% in profit from BNB in 1 day and 5 hours. We also took 133% in 18 days and hit all of our targets as well, whereas the target from yesterday was only target 3. We've got 2 left to go. So anyways, some really cool stuff there in that sense. That's all available through my automated trading signals through Cornix. I also have an association or affiliation with Bitget, a sponsor for lack of better terms, and they're phenomenal. Their exchange has been my favorite. The only reason why I work with them is because I like what they have to offer. Leveraging the United States, make sure if you do use the link in the description below to qualify for my prize pool, you make sure to choose other for the country when selected, okay? Or if you're in the United States, that's when you choose other. Anyways, definitely recommend that. We have monthly prize pools. Next month we have King's Cup, which I'll share with you perhaps a little bit later. But generally speaking, it's a really awesome opportunity to be able to kind of check that out and to effectively kind of go from there. So either way, that's where we're at. I look forward to working with you if you decide you want to become a community member. If you have questions, of course, reach out to me. All my information is in the comments below. So take a look at Chiliz here. What we want to do first is kind of look at its history. Obviously, we've seen this if you've looked at the charts, but we had this parabolic increase back in 2021, effectively a year and a half ago, back in March/April. Went up significantly. Obviously sold down as a result of Bitcoin coming down too. So it kind of aligned itself a lot with Bitcoin here in the sense that it retraced pretty significantly, just based on the fact that that was roughly the same procedure for Bitcoin. And then of course it kind of broke free from Bitcoin in a sense, and then obviously realigned itself. So there's a handful of little things that you can kind of identify. But when it comes to trading altcoins, a lot of times it's identifying if it's connected to Bitcoin's pairing or if it is essentially working better or worse than that trading pair. So for lack of better terms, Chiliz lately has been kind of marching to the beat of its own drum, which tells me there's likely some fundamental catalysts kind of causing the price action to do its own thing versus what Bitcoin's doing, because it's a lot different than what Bitcoin is doing, right? You can kind of see that almost inverse. So that being said, where we're at right now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the standard stuff and kind of go from there. So first of all, we're up over 50 on the RSI again. Last time we did that, we were up over that level for roughly about 2 weeks. And this is roughly the over 70, or correction, under 70, over 50 in the RSI. And then also previously too, you can kind of see ever since this whole entire uptrend all the way to right here. So this whole little spot was all plus 50 on the RSI. Okay, so generally speaking, when you see anything over 50 on the RSI, on the daily more specifically, that really helps us understand that we're on the right side of the tracks. Now we do have a key level resistance coming up here for Chiliz at about 23.5 cents. That's a previous support level. If you look this back all the way back here to September of 2021, it's pretty much retested that level as a support and resistance line consistently. So we can expect that to continue to maintain itself until it doesn't. So in this case here, the likelihood of it breaking through that is quite high based on the momentum we have, but it may not break through that the first attempt, right? We might need to see a cup and handle type of thing where it retests that level a few times before it breaks. So I would expect 23.5 to be a pretty strong resistance level. That's just kind of what the charts are telling us here so far. If we take a look at the moving averages, we can kind of see we're up over the 50. I like this a lot. And we've been over the 200 for some time. We had basically a golden cross here, if you will, to the upside. And it did inevitably break upwards. Okay, so something to note if you heard the term golden cross, it really just implies that you have kind of a convergence from short-term to long-term moving averages. Okay, so that's a 50 intersecting with a 200 in upward fashion. Same thing with the 12 and the 26 on the MACD on the 4-hour. Effectively the same concept. In fact, we're going to look at that next, kind of see if we have that momentous push, that break. But generally speaking, at this point, being above the 200 and the 50 is a very positive sign. The disadvantageous thing could occur, of course, if the 50 drops below the 200, but I don't foresee that happening based on Bitcoin stabilizing itself and the fact that Chiliz is essentially working independent of Bitcoin and is still making higher lows in the most recent time frame. All right, so let's take a look at the 4-hour and kind of see what that looks like here. So first of all, we're above all 3 moving averages. You can see the 200 was working as a resistance level, broke through that pretty clean here roughly 8 hours ago. We can also see we're over 70 on the RSI too, so this leads me to believe we may see a pullback and or the price goes sideways at 22 cents for some time before it legs up again. It's a very common characteristic, and if we take a look at the MACD, of course, is what I'm referring to. This is the 12 intersecting with the 26 in an upward fashion. That effectively tells us that there is a convergence, in other words, a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. And this oscillator is increasing from the previous, so the likelihood of it continuing higher is great. We just need to look at exhaustion and kind of see if there is any potential for that. It really doesn't look like there is, though, so there's stronger potential for this to continue higher based on the fact that it's only 4 4-hour candles, effectively 16 hours into this continuation to the upside, which implies that we have a lot more room left for a retest of that level. Okay, so I think 23.5 could be a very strong likelihood on this momentous type of trend. Again, this strong push up, this one strong 4-hour candle that is effectively almost a 20% candle, that tells me that there was potentially a fundamental catalyst or a short squeeze that occurred right here at this key level resistance at 20.6. You can kind of see the retest 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a few times in which the price action tried to break through that level and couldn't. And inevitably it did, and that's essentially why it shot up, because a lot of shorts probably got squeezed out of their position with a stop loss right above that level. Okay. Again, that's just kind of trading 101 when it comes to that, so there's a great chance that could have been the case too. Maybe fundamentals have nothing to do with it. And when it comes to the TD sequential here, we can see we've hit a 9 previously, down to a 4 and a 6. Honestly, not a lot of consistency. It's not always hitting its full-on 9 spread there, so in this case right now, with us being at a 3, hypothetically, we have 6 more hours of continuation. Again, strictly hypothetical, no guarantees on that. Taking a look at the Ichimoku cloud, something to note here is that while the conversion line is above the baseline, it's a pretty tight squeeze. We see this happen a lot when it comes to a parabolic increase. Again, 20 or 17, 18% in 1 hour, that's quite a lot of movement. So it does throw things off a little. So technically, the cloud is telling us that we are free and clear of price action and the conversion line's above the baseline, but it's not super strong. Really just telling us that it could very well pull back as well as it could increase. To me, this isn't a cause for taking entry or adding to my position. Personally, I try to avoid something like this until it stabilizes. But again, if you're going to kind of take what we looked at here so far, we have mostly bullish indications here that the price is going to go up versus going down. If it were to go down, keep in mind, and this is a very common characteristic too, if it were to come down to, say, for example, likelihood of it bouncing off the cloud is high. Furthermore, the likelihood of bouncing off that Fibonacci retracement level here at about 20.6 cents is also equally as high because of how many times it was retested as a resistance before it broke through. Again, those are just little factors that all kind of add up in the big picture. So to me, I would say I'm tentatively bullish on Chiliz, but I would also expect somewhat of a pullback in the relative near future because these profits have to be taken. And in most cases, it's like meat on the bone, right? So just say you're a retail investor and you see that, the likelihood of pulling that back is pretty high, or selling some of those positions based on the simple fact that it's overextended. Again, when I say overextended, I'm talking about more so, like Bollinger Bands, for example. You take a look at this here, it's easier to identify in the 15. We're well outside those standard deviation lines. We can also identify that as well on the volume weighted average price where it hit that. But good news is the volume weighted average price is reflecting more positive than the Bollinger Bands because it's based on volume and telling us that the volume that we've seen here recently with that increase matches with its standard deviation. That's a good sign. Even though it has pulled back a little bit, that tells me that the likelihood of the price action retracing significantly is pretty low. So I like what I see here so far. We also got the volume weighted average price kind of working as a support level, roughly at 21.5 cents. So if there is a pullback and we lose that support, 21.5 could very well be a bouncing point, which coincidentally is right where the Ichimoku cloud is trending later down the road, right? So again, I think we got a pretty good little support zone between 20.6 and just say 22 is a round number, and essentially we should see some resiliency there if the price were to pull back and likely increase from there. So I do think the overall trend here for Chiliz is up. It's just the immediate future is left to be seen, remains to be seen, until we have a little bit more data. Okay. And again, I'm more of a conservative trader. I'll wait a week to take a trade to make sure that I hit those marks. Like for example, our BNB and our Solana trade, I literally waited 7 days to take that signal. And the reason why is because I didn't have confirmation. Sure, there's a lot of opportunities that are missed, but the best traders I feel are those who are going to be patient and wait for the right opportunity and try not to overtrade, unless of course you're a day trader. It's a different story, right? Day traders, you kind of have to be on the ball and jumping in and jumping out. So don't change that if it's working for you. But as I would say I gravitate more towards short-term swing trading, and to me, that is just my sweet spot because I'm perfectly patient and okay with waiting for the right opportunity. I hope the same for you, obviously. You want to learn to become a better trader? Once again, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below, and then obviously make sure that you register for Bitget. Phenomenal exchange. $10,000 prize pool is monthly. In fact, next month we are doing a, it's a King's Cup if I'm not mistaken. In fact, here, let's see if I can pull this up here. This should kind of explain briefly. And you can basically register if you're a community member here. So obviously, reach out to me if you were interested in doing this. This is actually not an automatic registration. It's something you have to sign up for, but there is so much, so much stinking money in this that it's fairly ridiculous as to how much you could possibly earn here. So again, really cool opportunities. These are all things that are available. I think registration is, of course, for the next up until the 20th of November. So we have some time. We got the next 3 weeks to form a team, but I need to put together 10 of my strongest traders for that. And obviously I've got a small handful of folks already looking for that. Anyways, that's kind of where we're at there. It's kind of a side note, but it's still relevant, right? Chiliz is mostly soccer related, so it's interesting stuff, right? All right, nonetheless, hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon.